there, and welcome back to another Demon Slayer Season 3 review. And today we're going to be talking about the latest episode to drop, Episode 8. And yeah, this episode follows off from the pretty epic battle of Tanjiro and Co. versus the final demon with his wooden dragon things, and Tokido breaking free of the water prison to try and save Kotetsu from getting slaughtered. So I was kind of hoping for some follow-up to both of those storylines here. That's not exactly what we got. Instead, it was just, well, pretty much an episode solely dedicated to Tokido and his backstory, which, well, I did enjoy it. But at the same time, at this stage, I want to get back to the big epic battle, you know? This one, it just isn't quite as compelling. But yeah, with all that being said, let's jump into the episode and work our way through it. So we start off the episode following Tokido, of course, in the moments after he slashed his way out of the water pot prison. And first things first, he pulls out all the needles in his body and face, and thank God for that. Looking at that stuff, it's like, ugh. I know it's a cartoon and all, and it shouldn't make me feel grossed out, but it does. It's like when the Mountain Smith got sucked into the pot in like episode 3, you could hear his screams and his bones snapping, or when the pot demon showed off his artwork. Yeah, this hits that same vibe. It's just cringe-inducing. All those spikes sticking into him, no thank you. But thankfully, he pulls them out so I don't have to look at them anymore. The only problem being is that he's seemingly losing consciousness after his ordeal. Because I think the spikes had some sort of poison on them when he first got hit. At least, I think so. So that's all doing its thing. And at the same time, we have Kotetsu bleeding out and a bunch of fish monsters getting ready to slaughter them both. So it's not looking that good for Tokido. But of course, just in the nick of time, just as he gives up and is ready to die again, he once again hears his father's voice in his head telling him to get back up and keep going. I tell you what, this kid, his storyline, very wholesome. Like, a lot of characters have those arcs where they show off those important memories that help them win battles. It's a tried and tested anime trope. You have those flashback episodes alongside a big power-up for the hero. And whilst a lot of these episodes are quite good, this one hits different for me. It's very, very cute. It's literally just his dad smiling and encouraging him, telling him to keep on fighting. And yeah, I know I say this every single episode, but his character, it's just been so well written. His development has been so good. And so yeah, we then go into the intro, and when we return, it's as part of a flashback, which like I said, makes up a pretty big part of the episode. Now once again, we're dealing with a character who had a sweet and happy family. A character who had everything and then lost it all at once. I wouldn't say it's quite as sad as the Genya flashbacks, because that shit was haunting. But this is actually quite sad too. We learn that Tokido's father was a woodcutter, the family didn't have much, but they were happy, and Tokido would spend his days helping his father out in the forest. Also, for me, his dad has such a cool character design for somebody who literally dies in his first appearance, and in fact has been dead for the entire duration of the show's story. However, the happy stuff, it doesn't last. Happy flashbacks are few and far between in this show after all, and so in literally the next scene, we see poor little Tokido tending to his mother who's suffering from a fever, probably gonna die. And yes, she does indeed die. And this scene's just so wholesome, but sad. When he gives her his extra blanket and tries to cuddle her to keep her warm. Oh, heartwarming, but also heartbreaking. And all the while, his father braves a storm to try to find herbs he thinks could save her, only to fall off a cliff to his death, leaving Tokido alone. Or perhaps not, because at this point he remembers that he also had a twin, Yuichiro. And these two 10-year-olds were left to try and survive all on their own, so no wonder it went to shit pretty quickly. And yeah, his brother's clearly not happy about their life trajectory, and he takes it out on Tokido because they're 10 and they don't have good coping mechanisms. And I mean, the poor kid's just lashing out and looking for somebody to blame. I mean, he even laments that his dad even bothered to try and save their sick mother because he thought she was too far gone for herbs and it's better to just lose one parent. And that now they're orphans because of his compassion. And in all honesty, in this episode, whilst the deaths and all that, that's sad, yeah. I'm more sad about this poor kid's arc. He has to step up to be the head of the family, he doesn't cope well and wants to prevent his little brother ending up dead like his parents, so he hardens his heart, and he never really gets a chance to enjoy his life ever again, because he gets killed by a demon. It's just tragic. Also, definitely feels like Tokido was subconsciously channeling his brother when we first meet him. Somewhere in the depths of his brain, he remembered what his brother's personality was like, and it became his too. And that's just both sad and sweet. Also, really cool writing, and I actually really enjoyed that they addressed that in story. But yeah, this was their life, with Tokido being pretty sure that his brother hated his guts, when in reality, it was the furthest thing from the truth. Eventually, the Demon Slayer Master's wife turns up, telling them that they're descended from a top-tier swordsman who used first breathing. So I guess this is them trying to hint that they're descended from the dude that Tanjiro keeps seeing in his visions. The one who met Tanjiro's ancestor and saved him and his wife from demons. The same guy who looks pretty suspiciously like the top-ranked demon. Anyway, this enthusiasm from Tokido provokes a god-tier rant from his brother, who makes it pretty clear that the whole reason for his anger is that they lost their parents in what he perceived to be a very avoidable way. If his mother had rested more, or if his father had been more careful, they wouldn't be alone. And honestly, I get where the poor kid's coming from, right? Whilst he isn't exactly the nicest character in the world, it's not like he's wrong either. From his point of view, everything he says is true, and you can really empathize and understand. And so, in that way, this tiny little character who appears in a couple of scenes is just so well done. And then, of course, it all goes to shit as a demon attacks their house, and wallop, there goes brother's arm. Damn, that is gruesome. Like, the flop of his arm as it hits the wall. Ugh. The demon then says their lives are worthless and meaningless, and I guess this unlocks Tokido's secret hidden rage mode. Unlocked maybe some inherited memories or something that made him insanely strong, because then he blacks out and he comes to, standing over this demon's brutalized body, and I mean brutalized, just as the sun comes up to destroy him forever. And then what do you know? His brother takes back everything on his deathbed, he reveals he loved Tokido all along, he just wanted him to be safe. Yep, pretty much how I expected it to play out. And so, let's just circle back to the carnage that he left behind. Head smashed in with the rock, staked into the ground, limbs chopped off. Kid got medieval on this dude's ass. And I mean, I guess he got the weapons from the shed or something like that, but they were cornered in the house. Did he square up to this demon and fist fight him and beat him off? At 11 years old, he beat this thing down, dragged him outside and cut him to pieces? Damn, that's some powerful rage. Kid went Super Saiyan. And this in turn allows present-day Tokido to power up and obtain similar markings to Tanjiro, and then he destroys the minions pretty easily, saving Katetsu, who's still bleeding out pretty badly, and I guess we're just supposed to ignore that he should probably be dead now. Oh well, we then get a look at Gyoko, who's still trying his best to stop that Giga Chad swordsmith from sharpening and polishing the sword. Like he slashed him up, he's destroyed one of his eyes, straight up destroyed his eye, and yet he's still remaining perfectly focused. How? How? This dude needs to teach his special focus techniques to the Demon Slayers. They'd be unstoppable if they could do this and shrug off all injuries, just like him. Tokido then arrives, he slashes him, he only gets a small cut, and then dude summons giant octopus arms. He monologues for a while about how he's been holding back this whole time, only to be immediately outclassed and shamed as Tokido destroys his Kraken arms, and then slashes his throat without even breaking a sweat. I mean, damn, those markings are pushing him to the next level, and I'm really enjoying seeing the power scaling here in play as well. Like, when you see Tanjiro use the marking power, it's strong, but it takes way more effort for him, and then he's one and done. He's finished, collapsed. This dude, though, this seems to be the first time he's ever used it, and yet he keeps on pushing again and again. He's not slowing down, he's just whooping significant ass. He's on a whole different level. And also during this sequence, we see another flashback to Tokido interacting with his original swordsmith who had since died. And this scene basically cements to me that this kid is just beloved by all. I mean, after a pretty rocky start, Tanjiro pretty instantly decided they were going to be best friends. The master and his wife clearly looked after him at first. The old sword master was all worried about him and didn't want him to be all alone with nobody who could understand him after he died. These wholesome vibes. They actually do bring a tear to your eye, just a little bit. And yeah, Tokido going all out. His fight sequence here, it's pretty epic, but I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. By this point, I think I'd realized that the main storyline, the one with the wooden dragons, that wasn't coming back this episode, and I just got a little down on that. Like, yeah, you do need these episodes to cool things off and also explore the side storyline, but I don't know. I feel like I wanted this episode before he got to the cool wooden dragon stuff. Because once you get to that point, you don't want to put it down again. Know what I mean? I just feel like the pacing's a little bit off here. But maybe that's just me. Because after all, these are just my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? You like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.